The pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a special guest who's going to play the recorder. She did say stay standing, please. Good job. This is Miss Kayla Schuler. She's going to play the Star Spangled Banner for us. Did you?
Yeah.
She learned that on her own. I know this whole thing I worked with a little bit, but she practiced that at home, and so very nice job.
Review approval of the agenda.
There have been just two changes on 2C, two additional resignations of support staff under 2F, and one employment of support staff under 2C.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Chad has moved and Susan has second to approve the agenda. Gerald. Is there a second, Susan? To approve the agenda as corrected. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Right side, opposed. Motion passed. On to consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a couple of questions on bill payables. Bills to pay, payables.
Okay. Certification, or do we want to move it? Would you like them moved or clarified?
Pardon me?
Would you like them moved or clarified now?
I can clarify it now. I can ask questions now if you want me to. Okay. Ms. Bagmore coordinating the school specialty. Actually, I'm sure it's a supply warehouse or school districts. Is that correct?
That is correct. And our teachers primarily use that. And office folks do too, but usually it's just primarily the teacher.
Sure. And that's what I should have. And perma-bound books, are those books are we buying for the library?
Yes.
Or is it the Mac books? Or
No,
is
those are
it
actual books.
the actual books?
Mhm.
Okay. And that's for middle school?
I think
elementary?
all buildings.
All
Yeah,
over?
I think it's all buildings.
That was the only, I thought they might be electronic books.
Yeah,
coming
those are.
in. So that's all the questions I had. Anything over?
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Is there a second? Jeff has moved and Chad has seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Moving on to delegations, recognitions, student recognitions.
Mr. Airholtz is here, and we have some students from QNL.
We do. First, Audrey, why don't you come up here with me? Audrey Barnes is going to read her Dare essay. You can stand by here and look official, Audrey, okay? And Audrey, who do you have here with you tonight? Their names are? Okay. And Audrey was the overall Dare essay winner at our Dare graduation 2 weeks ago, week and a half, and so she's going to read her Dare essay to us.
What if you lived in a world where everyone smoked, drank, and was a bully? Would you like living in a world like that? What if you were the only person who refused to be like that? Well, one thing is for sure, you would be a hero to mankind. Did you know that girls can bully and worse more than boys do? Whether it not be letting someone sit by you or physically hurting someone, it's still bullying. There was this person in my grade who was the way almost every bully is. One way with teachers and another way with students. I thought that that person would always be a problem, until Dare. Dare has taught me that reporting things are always better than keeping things to yourself. If someone ever bullies me again, I'm going to report it as soon as possible. There are about 75,000 alcohol-related deaths per year in the USA. You probably know someone who has drank, or has known someone who has drank alcohol. I used to get mad when I saw someone pop open a can of beer or make a toast and then take a huge gulp of wine. Dare has taught me that that was their choice, not mine. Now I usually care about what I'm going to do when it comes to alcohol, not what I want them to do. The choice is 100% mine, and I choose no. Over 400,000 Americans die from tobacco-related causes every year. So many people in my life that used to smoke say that they regretted every moment that they smoked, and they are glad they aren't smoking anymore. I promised myself not to even touch a cigarette in my lifetime, and Dare has helped me learn just how dangerous it is to smoke. Dare has helped me realize that it is okay to not go with the flow and to be drug-free. I, Audrey Barnes, pledge to be drug-free and not to be bullied.
And that was one, the fifth graders had to write a Dare essay this quarter, and we're in the middle of a narrative writing unit too. And so Marisa Sonis is going to come up here and read a narrative that I read that I got a chuckle out of. And so I asked her to come to the meeting. And who do you have here with you tonight?
My mom and my sister.
Mom and sister, okay.
The best birthday ever. I hate school, just like any other kid in the 5th grade. School is stupid. It doesn't even teach us anything. Just kidding, I love school, and I couldn't wait to go to school today because it was my birthday. I was so excited until I heard my parents whispering, "She can't go to school today, whether she feels like it or not. She has blisters all over her mouth and down her throat," my mom said. I couldn't believe the news. I was really good at filming. I walked into my parents' room. They stopped talking when they saw me. "Why can't I go to school?" I asked. "It is my birthday," my dad answered. "I know how much you love school, but you're sick. If you can't go to school, you're sick. You might get your classmates sick." "I know, but I don't feel sick." I fell in my parents' bed, and I understood what they meant. My mouth did hurt. I guess I couldn't go to school. I was super sad. As I watched my family go to school and my parents go to their jobs, I had a sudden idea. What if I did all the things I did at school at home? It was a great idea, so that's what I did. In school, first we do math, so I wrote myself really hard questions and worked them out. It was fun. Next, I started writing a story. After all, it was writing time. I wrote for an hour, and then I started reading. It was 11:55 when I looked up from my book. I couldn't believe it. Time does fly fast when you're having fun. Wow, I was having fun even though I wasn't at school. After I ate lunch, I did vocabulary, science, math facts, and an activity for Wildcat Science. Finally, I heard the school bus. I could see my sister running inside with papers in her hand. It was my homework. I guess I didn't have to do all the work I did earlier to go to school. All I had to do was wait for my homework. Oh well, at least I turned my worst birthday into my best birthday.
All right, and so I just thought it was a good contrast there between the two different writings. And then Miss Schuler is going to come up and play one more song for us. So come on up, Kayla. Again, the recorders are the primary instrument we use at McEwen to introduce them to music. Kayla, how long have you been playing for? A year and 2 months, 3 months? How many belts have you earned so far?
All the ones I played up.
All the ones you could. We have a bell program, kind of like recorder karate. That's what I call it, right? Who do you have here with you tonight, Caleb?
My paddle.
Okay, who do you have here with you in your family?
My mom.
Yeah.
My 2 brothers and my mom's a roommate.
Okay, and then we have Miss Holston came today, and she's been working a lot with us. So, what are you going to play?
My paddle.
All right, let's hear it. kids start in 4th grade, and then you hear them like in 8th or 9th grade at some of the choir concerts or the band performances. Or like, but it does start with the recorder, M&Q with it. I know the Sonuses have a wrestling meet they need to get to, and everybody else has somewhere they want to go, so I'm going to walk these guys out, and I'll come back. Okay? Thanks, parents, and everybody else that came tonight. Kids did a great job.
For sharing your talents with us.
Wonderful
You
job.
really did, yes. I believe it. Okay, at this time, it's time for audience delegations. People in the audience may speak about any topic that is on the agenda. We have a limited number of time. Each person may speak for 3 minutes, so I think Susan has the timer. The first person to speak will be Marcy Baumel.
Hello. I wanted to address the board notes slash policy, minutes policy. And I have ours printed out, which specifically says the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Education will include, but are not limited to, the following. Then I also visited with Kelly Hopkins in the policy service department at NSBA, and she sent me their policy that they have for the BDDG board minutes. And she also told me that any policy that they have posted online is the recommended policy that the Missouri School Board Association backs. She referred to them as the core policies when I was visiting with her on the telephone. It also says the minutes of the Board of Education will include but are not limited to the following. And then if you go on to the Missouri Revised Statutes site, which is the chapter 610 for governmental bodies and records, if you look at section 610.020, it also says a journal or minutes of opened and closed meetings shall be taken and retained by the public governmental body, including but not limited to. So all 3 of these. Our policy, the Missouri State Board of Education, the Missouri School Board Association policy, and the Missouri Revised Statutes state just exactly the exact same way. In regard to that, hopefully you guys have they've talked to you, I've talked to district employees. And when I talk about district employees, I'm talking about both certified staff and classified staff. They are asking you guys, or they are wanting you guys to leave it as it is. This gives them the opportunity to read the notes that Susan has of the school board meetings. It gives them meaning. It gives them information about things that you guys talk about, which would not be there if they were limited to different situations. I also, the 3 board members that are retired from the district, Marvin, I taught with you at the junior high, I coached with you at the junior high, I served on different committees with you, and I honestly think that you would be livid if the board was trying to prevent our school district employees from having this information. Marie, I never had the opportunity to work with you, but I also feel that you would be very upset if the school board did this. Thank you.
Mr. Bell?
I'll go fast. I did do it in 3 minutes this time. Those of you who know me well probably know that I'm a pretty conservative guy. And it probably won't surprise you to learn that one of my most favorite historical figures is President Ronald Reagan. As I ponder what this board is trying to do tonight with Board Policy BDDG, I'm reminded of one of Reagan's most memorable statements to President Carter during the 1980 presidential debate. He simply stated, "There you go again." Reagan's four-word statement arguably turned the tide for his campaign and changed the course of our nation's history. Think about that. 4 simple words, and our lives were forever altered. Last month, I made a pretty passionate plea for you to stop trying to hide your deliberations from the public by attempting to squelch the flow of information from this body to the public. At last month's meeting, this topic was introduced simply as a discussion of board notes, and it was immediately met with 7 long seconds of dead silence. No explanation of why board notes was on the agenda, no explanation of what the board was attempting to achieve, nothing, just dead silence. Mrs. Yoder finally broke the silence with the following statement. "I will make the motion that the word but be replaced with the word and the word not be removed from Board Policy BDDG. Despite the fact that this is in contradiction to your own policy governing the process for changing board policies, less than 1 second later, Mr. Cochran seconded the motion." The flurry of activity from everybody out here in the room was almost laughable as we all tried to figure out what policy BDDG was, and then identify the words but, and not, and understand the context of the proposed change. How sad that the public gets treated like idiots by the very people elected to represent us. During your deliberation of the first motion, Mrs. Yoder made yet another motion. I guess it was sort of a motion within a motion kind of thing, and she stated, "I will make the motion that we follow the recommendation of the MSBA in taking board notes." At that point, I think everyone was too confused for anyone to offer a second. Quite frankly, if you've reviewed the board policy recommendations that MSBA has actually recommended, such as those that are on tonight's agenda, you'll recognize that the MSBA includes information which you have chosen not to include in the proposal on the public agenda this evening. First, and most importantly, they offer an explanation as to why the change is recommended. They do not simply recommend a 2-word change to a policy with no explanation as to their reasoning. Reagan changed the world with 4 simple words. You're attempting to further hide your deliberations from the public by sneaking in a change of 2 words. In last week's Kansas City Star, President Valley stated, "I believe we have a trust issue." Well, ladies and gentlemen, I completely agree. And I can only offer this statement to you as an explanation of the cause of that issue. There you go again.
Moving on, MSBA delegate report. Deb?
My report is attached. Couple notes. There has been some changes with the school board candidate filing rules and regulations that are coming up. And specifically, it is about the candidates filling out paperwork to make sure that they are current on their taxes. I believe there's a document that will be attached with that piece. But those changes, there is a good also question and answer that the Missouri School Board Association just put out today. If anybody needs a copy of it, my apologies for it not being in there, but I can provide that. There's again a couple questions there. And then also one of the other key things that the MSBA has been talking about was the defeat of amendments.
Four of us attended the fall regional MSBA meeting at Ray Tech along with Dr. McDonald. They hit upon several points. Probably most important, which most of us realize, is the influence of the legislature, the state legislature, on education right now. As we read through a lot of the revisions on board docs and the result of new laws being passed and changes that we have to make. They also mentioned the new commissioner education that will impact all our school districts greatly, and that we should have input into the State Board of Education, the qualifications that we think that person needs to have in order to lead education in the state of Missouri. But those were important things. Does anybody else have anything to add to from that meeting. Going on then to the Public School Foundation update. Deb, you're on again.
One of the things that is currently being worked on is the upcoming Wall of Fame ceremony that will be in February. I don't know if there's a date yet. The 6th. That process is currently, the committee is getting ready to meet to finalize who those individuals will be. And also recently, more teacher grants were given out. And then also the reimbursement for higher education for our teachers as well. Do you have anything else? I think that's pretty much what we've been doing today.
Thank you. Okay, school board candidate filing timeline, Dr. McDonald.
The election of the school board members is held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of April. On municipal election day, which will be April 7th, 2015, qualified applicants for the board may file for office during business hours in the superintendent's office beginning the 16th Tuesday prior to the election till the 11th Tuesday prior to the election. For the upcoming election, school board candidates filing will begin Tuesday, December 16th from 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and it will close on January 20th, 2015 at 5 p.m. We have 2 positions to be filled, and that would be Chad and Jess. Those are the open positions. So we're recommending that you approve those days and those times, which are really set by law.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Deb has moved and Jeff has seconded to establish Tuesday, December 16th, 2014, from 8 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. through Tuesday, January 20th, 2015 at 5 o'clock p.m. as the filing dates for candidates to the Harrisonville R9 Board of Education election, Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Marie,
Yes.
I do have a question. If someone does come up to put their name in, and it's a snow day, the office is closed, so.
Correct, and we advertise that in the paper.
Yeah, just want to let everybody be aware of that, and that way, if it's not here, can you?
And I guess one other question, when they sign up, do you have to bring the no tax due letter with you when you sign up?
No, actually.
I think they sign it along with the other things that they attest
So they
to,
might
so
have a copy of like,
it's on them, basically.
because of my professional license, we gotta send in no tax due to the state.
I think it's just that declaration that they sign along with the other things that they attest on there.
And that's what this says.
Good.
And we appreciate whoever figured out what the 16th Tuesday and the 11th Tuesday, which was probably Susan. Thank you. The motion did pass. Moving on to assessment and of local and assessment and evaluation of district programs.
We have the monthly financials and
Revenue receipts again are closely aligned with the same period as last year, with the exception of property tax receipts, which are just slightly under last year's totals. I think maybe the county just didn't get things remitted to us, is what I'm hearing from them. Expenditure categories mirror the usage of the previous year with just less than 1% difference. And the estimated percentage fund balance for the combined Fund 1 and 2 is 28.9%. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
I like how you got 4 minutes again. I like how you had 4 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy. Okay. Board policy revisions.
Okay, we're gonna, there's some policies in here that we need to rescind and some different things. So what we're recommending for approval tonight would be policy BBFA, policy AH, policy CFB, policy EF, policy GDN, and policy IM, and that is with the first batch. And then I'll talk about the others. There's some we're recommending not to accept, and there's one that we're recommending to rescind, which is what they were recommending.
Is there a motion?
These are going to be passed these years, go into effect when, first of the year, will these take effect immediately, or do they that first of the year, or will these actually?
These would take place immediately.
So moved.
BBFA, CFB, EF. That's going to be rescinded, so we're going to say that differently. Yeah. GDN and IM. TV without accepting an ILA. Yes. Correct. I'm sorry. GDN, I was looking at this differently. GDN, that's support staff, evaluation of support staff, and we do not need to do that one. I looked at this differently.
Okay, so you're removing that from
Correct.
the list you just read.
Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. So it's BBFA, which is board member conflict of interest and financial disclosure. AH, use of tobacco products. CFB, which is evaluation of principals. EF, food service management. IM, evaluation of instructional programs. No, we're not accepting that.
As they're written, right? So we get it with modifications and one decline to the side, and the rest would be as is.
Correct. Let me, here's what we're going to do. CA is administrative goals, and we're going to rescind that one. That was recommended by Rachel as well as others. CBG, it was requested, that's evaluation of superintendent, to pull that one for now. GCN, evaluation of professional staff, we're recommending to hold that back since we're using the MU model that we just adopted. MSBA has a specific policy for that one, which isn't this policy though, so that, and we found that out. ILA is testing and security. Our policy currently meets all the requirements, so we would say no changes to that. We don't need to approve that. KB is public information program. What we have meets what's needed in that area. So those are the pieces there. On the modification, which is below that, there's a prohibition against, let me make sure I read it correctly. Prohibition against discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Basically, the modification is, it currently says Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Services, and we just need to change that. That's the modification. District Wellness Program, changing coordinators. We need our district nurse on there and some things like that. That's the modifications.
That's policy, what number?
That is policy ADF. That's under the modification. And policy EFB is free and reduced food services. There's a section in there we're recommending that it's deleted based on our current practices. And Basically, it was around, we would look at providing food for students
In a community emergency.
in community emergencies.
And that's something we would already do.
Yeah, we would already do that. I don't think it has to be in policy.
So GDN, IRA, and KB.
XCA as well. That's one of the full-
CA is rescinded,
Yeah.
and we're just not going to accept any changes to ILAs or KB.
Okay.
And we're going to accept AC, ADF, EFB with modifications. That makes sense. Questions? Because I know those policies, I mean, we're trying to go through and make sure that they meet what we do. And mark through and make modifications as appropriate.
Say sadly, it does make sense.
Wow.
What I have before we have a motion, please, to approve board policies BBFA, AH, CFB, EF, and IM as recommended by MSBA, to decline revisions to board policies CA, GDN, ILA, KB, and to approve board policies AC, ADF, and EFB with modifications as noted. Isn't there a GCN too? Are we doing that one?
We're not,
Okay.
we're holding
Okay.
it. Because that's the one that's got the MS there,
Okay.
Is there a motion? Deb has moved, is there a second? Deb has moved and Chad has seconded the motion that was just read. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Moving on to a simpler board policy revision.
This is simply three board policies, and board policy BBB is just addressing what Deb talked about earlier, something we have to have in place. Board policy EBC is emergency drills, and policy IND is ceremonies and observations. That's the one that we have to do something around Veterans Day. That was, again, changes based on legislation that was passed this last spring.
I move to approve board policies BBB, BBC, and ND as recommended by MSBA.
Second.
Chad has moved and Deb has seconded to approve board policies BBB, EBC, and IND as recommended by MSBA. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I think we're almost finished with the ABCs of all the letters and things like that.
You need an EIEIA.
Yeah. I could do that. With the McDonald's. I could do that.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
old McDonald's.
Yeah.
Thank you, I'm gonna be singing at the
Make sure you get those in your
Yeah,
transcripts.
that's right.
Yes, Susan. Okay, we're moving on to board notes, board policy BBDG.
And I will make the motion that the board direct the board secretary to limit meeting notes to reflect only the items required to be included in the meeting minutes under Missouri Sunshine Law, which are date, time, place, members' presence, members absent, and record and state.
Second.
Would you read that back to us, Susan?
The board direct the board secretary to limit meeting notes to reflect only the items required to be included in meeting minutes under the Missouri Sunshine Law, which are date, time, place, members present, members absent, and a record of any votes taken.
Susan has moved and Marvin has seconded. Motion that Susan just read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye.
Aye. And Susan, I would like to get that minutes that I am opposed to this.
Okay, so we have Chad, Deb, and Jeff voting no.
We also need a motion to remove the proposed revision to the policy.
I don't think so.
Don't think so, okay. Moving on to AP dual credit stipends.
This was just for making sure I have clarification, and I think I do. Every teacher who teaches an AP or dual credit course on the dual credit side, if they have a contract or a memorandum of understanding or something like that that says this teacher is getting credit through UCM, those or whatever, the university.
I can read
Okay.
that motion. Each teacher who teaches a class for which Harrisonville High School students can enroll for college credit must submit a copy of their current teaching contract with that college/university certifying they are teaching said college credit class through the Harrisonville Schools payroll office before the first 1/2 of the stipend from Harrisonville School District will be paid in December. These teachers must surrender their payment from the college before receiving the second half of the stipend in May or June. Teachers who teach both an AP class and a college credit class will receive only the one stipend for their AP class and can keep their payment from the college. This is to clarify the motion that Susie had made earlier in the year in order to equalize that teachers who teach a college credit class that also requires additional preparation like AP classes require would also receive an extra stipend for that additional preparation. And as I said at that time, at that meeting, when AP classes were first started in the school district, and I was at the high school back then, as Marcy will probably remember, and a lot of schools at that time gave those teachers an extra plan period because if you teach a college AP class the way it should be taught, you have a lot of extra prep, you have a lot of extra grading to be done. And our school district, our faculty, the high school was small. We couldn't afford to add extra part-time faculty members. They weren't available. So the compromise was to figure out what a section we were being paid back then. Obviously, we were making about $28,000 a year for teaching, a little bit more. You multiply the 4,000 times 7, and that was the stipend. It has not been increased since then, so there's been no increase in it, but that was what they were given because they were not receiving an extra plan period for that extra work. And that's kind of the rationale behind that. And Mrs. Schroeder thought that there should be some comparable pay for the college credit people. So that's kind of the rationale behind that. Not that anybody asked, but I'll tell you.
Madam President, that motion had in there that at least one student needs to be enrolled in for the college credit.
Okay, I didn't put that in there.
Well, and I have a question. You specifically said high school. We also have a Cass Career Center, and those aren't necessarily Harrisonville High School students.
We don't have. That's interesting.
I mean,
So
we
that-
have.
There could be Harrisonville High School students, most likely in each of those classes, but they may not be the ones taking it for dual credit.
Correct. Because we can have somebody from any of those city schools.
So then we're going to have to address those issues. The reason we're trying to resolve this now is so that some people can get their money right away.
But as you say, Harrisonville High School, I was thinking high school and the career center as well as the high school. Were you just thinking it would just be the teachers at the high school?
No, no.
Oh.
Or district one?
But if those teachers are teaching that class and if they don't have a Harrisonville High School student taking it for credit, but let's say they have one from Archie that is taking that class for credit. And And that's what she's saying. If it isn't if they don't have one Harrisonville High School student taking the class for credit, but they have others that are in their class from another school because it is cast credit.
I would think that if even if those students work in another school and they were here, their teachers are here to work and enroll for employee, and they're teaching it in college.
So then what you're saying, I should amend it for which Harrisonville High School are.
The only thing that needs to be amended is the part I was talking about, that they have to have at least one student enrolled that is receiving college credit. So if they're teaching it but no one's taking it for college credit, then they wouldn't be getting it because they probably wouldn't be teaching it on a college level. So we could just simply say a student enrolled that would be receiving college credit.
I wasn't here at the previous discussion, but I'm just curious why you wouldn't just discuss the stipend itself, increasing the stipend if it hasn't been increased for that long, versus, I don't know what this is, what the bookkeeping process would be, but it would be more efficient to maybe address the stipend itself as is rather than what you're trying to accomplish. I don't know. I'm not sure what the...
Well, currently, we pay teachers a stipend for AP, but not dual credit. So the point of the motion was to pay the dual credit teachers also, because students can walk out with college credit in both of those situations.
No one's complaining about the stipend.
Okay, because I was saying, I've never heard of
To me, it makes sense that you're going to pay a college stipend, there at least has to be one student in there that takes the college class.
But you can't have a class without.
Right, you can't have a class without any students
Well,
for college credit, is that correct?
You can still teach the class, but not have anyone take it for credit.
Right.
And that does happen.
Okay.
If you don't take it for credit, I'm sorry, if you don't take it for credit, then you don't have the advantage of getting the college textbooks and you know, everything you get through the college. So I don't know if it would be taught on that level or not. I mean, that would be.
Could we have the administration investigate if we have any of the situation that Deb asked about happening?
No, I just want to make sure that your motion is not just the high school, that it's also the Cass Career Center. I'm not disputing what you're saying. The motion that you have seems.
I didn't limit it to high school teachers, if that's what you're asking.
Maybe I misunderstood, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that it's any of the teachers that are teaching those classes either at Cass Career Center or the high school. That was the clarification.
On her motion, it says, each teacher who teaches a class for which Harrisonville High School students can enroll for college credit. So each of our Career Center courses will have students from Harrisonville. So if they can enroll for college credit, I'm going to show you, you're wanting something in there that would indicate that they have to have at least one student in the dual credit course that would be enrolled in that dual credit course.
But would they have a contract from the college if they had nobody enrolled?
Yes.
You do, you sign your contract prior to your students signing up, and then you have to send your official enrollment for that class to the university. And then they base what they pay their stipend on how many students are taking it for credit. But you can have a lot more in there, it's just those are the ones that are getting credit.
Do we know what impact this is? I mean, do we know how many times this happened, or is it a lot, a small amount? You know?
I think it's a situation that we need to study, because from a simple motion, then a whole can of worms, the whole situation has evolved about even what the qualifications are to be an AP teacher, and all of that has really drastically.
I believe that most of I can't say all, but I'd say a very high percentage of the dual credit courses, at least one student is taking that for college credit.
And this is something too that would get us through this year, and then if we need to revisit it this summer,
Yeah, I think
after we find out how many are in there and kind of, but that way it would allow people to go ahead and get paid this year.
Ms. Murray, I have
Just
one,
a
excuse me, I have one question. Here a couple of months ago, we met, and didn't we talk about this as a budget item for the following year, that we would look at it? You know, I guess that I'd like to say that this is extra income for the teachers. That sometimes that they don't get extra income for other duties, that, you know, as a board member, I'd like for us to keep that and not make it a budget item for the following year, because it's extra money and these teachers need that extra money. You know, I mean, we looked at it, I think some discussion was held, and I think that some teachers that were looking or in that area, I mean, that's extra income for them, and I'd like for them to keep that. You know, we've done it for year to year, and I'm going to say that I would not want to pull that out of the budget for those teachers that work hard with this.
It's also one
I mean,
way-
that's not a motion, that's just a thought.
It's one way I think we're more competitive with the suburban schools, in that we can keep outstanding teachers that maybe can stay here because of the stipend, even though our salary schedule is not as competitive as we wish it would be. If that's, you know,
I've had teachers come up with me. And this was brought to conversation.
What is the, no, I can't remember what we talked about, what is the pay from the university for class?
It depends on the university, and it's based on the number of students that are enrolled in the credit class, or college credit, not just in the credit class.
And how many teachers does this affect district-wide? Can you give me the number?
About 20, potentially 20 to 24, somewhere in there.
Is that a pretty well standard number of years? Does it go up or down? Is that pretty standard?
Depends on if we add courses.
Yeah.
Okay.
so there's
So
13
it's up
AP, right?
25.
10 AP, and I believe there are 13 dual credit.
And what's the amount that they get to dual credit in the, you know?
$4,230, I believe, is the amount.
Per go.
Yes.
There are a lot of sidebars that we have to consider. Some of the teachers are teaching multiple AP classes and for one stipend, and some are teaching one AP class for one stipend. Many are teaching equivalent classes, and they aren't eligible for dual credit. But other teachers are teaching a dual credit class and no students taking advantage of it. It's not going to be a simple fix.
No, because when you look at it, there's 20 teachers out of Career Center, and, you know, as a librarian, you don't have that chance for that really. You know, certain
No, but-
teachers really may not have that opportunity. Others will, and each class that we add, that is a financial piece, and that's okay. We just have to look at that and put a process in place, so we're not adding 12 dual credit or AP courses every year.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that will become a pretty hefty financial piece as we look at that. And that, again, that's one of those pieces that is high school specific.
And when Beth did her evaluation summary report for us, then one of the tests that we give our students also predicts success in the AP classes. So I think we need to look at that predictor and see that we're not encouraging students to enroll in AP classes that may not succeed in them. I think we need to encourage students to stretch themselves, but you know, if you have a student and that test does not say they're going to be successful, encouraging them to enroll in 3 AP classes is probably counterproductive in their lives. Maybe encouraging them to enroll in one may be a good thing, but not 3. And I don't know how many of our students are, I know a lot of our students are in multiple AP classes. That's something I think we need to look at that test and use that prediction to more.
There isn't a test to predict for
I'd say, I think we
No,
did
it
that was the
said
ACT.
it.
I think that
No,
was the ACT.
It was not the ACT, it was another test, an earlier test that said it could predict some success in AP classes. It was in her
Was
report.
that the plan or
It may have
Explorer?
been the plan.
That's for ACT, not AP.
That's what I was.
No, it was AP. I'll look again, maybe you're right, but, because I was very impressed that a test could tell us that.
Yeah, it's not, I'm just sure it's not AP, is it?
We'll
The plan in the Explorer predict, future scores if they stay on the same track on the ACT test, but not AP.
But it could be different. So, we have this, do you want to amend with?
Did you want to add, what did you
Well,
want?
that's up to you, it's your motion, I was just suggesting that we include that, so if you're okay with that. Just simply to, did you need me to repeat it, or you just thinking?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat it.
Okay, just that, those classes would need to have at least one student enroll for dual credit through the university.
Okay. You got that, Susan?
I don't know exactly where you want it in this.
Yeah.
You can just put it at the end.
The end of the first paragraph.
I just want to question Ms. Marie, and I'm not trying to muddy the waters. Should that motion come from the board members and the president?
Because we're a 7-member board, Dr. Young at the
So you
elementary
didn't- okay.
procedure
I just
said that
wanted to
the
make sure we
president
were
can
on the
actually
same-
make motions.
It was on the same page. I
Yeah,
just didn't
yeah.
want to muddy the waters.
Because that was one reason I never wanted to serve as president, because it took away my ability to make motions, but he said because it's a small board as opposed to other kinds of boards that I can make a motion.
Mrs. Young, will you repeat this?
That at least one student needs to be enrolled with the university for the dual credit.
So you don't know the financial impact of this? I mean, I'm for giving teachers stipends, but it'd be nice to know what we talked about.
It
You were
was
talking
in
about.
quite explicit.
Was it?
Yeah, and I don't know the last section. It's a little more than we thought it would be.
Can I ask a clarifying question? If the teacher gets paid based on at least one student taking a dual credit course, does that apply for teachers teaching an AP course? Does at least one student have to take the test? Because there are AP courses where the test is not required by our district, so it's optional for the students to take that test. Is our expectation that at least one student would take the test in an AP course to?
I think that's something we'll have to look at in the future. I mean, right now, we're in the middle of the school year, and I don't think you can put a stipulation like that on teachers in the middle of the school year.
Are we doing the same
But I
thing
think
with
that's
the?
something we,
With the different caveat about the AP is if we require a full week
Gotcha.
summer
gotcha.
to go to St. Louis. Is that not correct?
I don't know if that's.
They went,
correct
there
or
was some
not.
initial training that the teachers
It's
should
been a week. I know some spent a week in St. Louis.
Yeah, but I don't think that's an annual piece. But I do think that that's something we need to look at in the future. The AP, remember, that was one of those that we've been going down that path.
Well, they've been receiving payment
Yes.
right along, and we
Right.
don't have to pay it back, but we
Right.
really do need to look deeper into this when we have time to this summer, before the next, actually, I'd like to do it
this
before May,
spring.
before people sign
Yes.
contracts.
Okay. Moving on to,
Motion.
oh, there's a motion, okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. I moved and Susie has seconded it. Do I need to read it to you guys again?
Let me ask a question. We talked about taking a test at the end. Is that necessary?
It is for the students to get credit for AP.
Should and other districts do that, and we do not? Is that correct, Ms. Miller?
Well, we
Some do,
offer
some
some, yes, some districts require, some do not.
Is it a good idea to take the test?
I think it's a very good idea.
So, if we put that in the motion, Ms. Marie, can that be done? Or is that,
That's almost two different things, because this is talking about dual credit. You're
so that has to
talking
be
about-
revisited, is that correct?
Yes.
So that would have to come in together prior to the next board meeting in December, correct?
Well, actually, the problem we've had is AP teachers have been receiving their stipend for this every month, so they would have to pay that.
Okay.
So
So
I,
it's something if we visit in the spring, so that teachers will know when they sign contract what it will be for next year.
Okay, I just wanted
Okay, Susan.
clarification.
The motion is that each teacher who teaches a class for which Harrisonville High School students can enroll for college credit must submit a copy of their current teaching contract with that college and university certifying that they are teaching said college credit class to the Harrisonville Schools payroll office before the first one-half of the stipend from the Harrisonville School District will be paid in December. These teachers must surrender their payment from the college before receiving the second half of the stipend in May or June. At least one student needs to be enrolled with the university for dual credit. Teachers who teach both an AP class and a college credit class will receive only the one stipend for their AP class and can keep their payment from the college.
I moved and Susie second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Okay. Moving on to assessment and evaluation of district programs for transportation routes.
Dr. Ryan, what's that?
One of the things the board has to approve each year are the transportation routes. Basically, it's our ridership count. And you will see attached there the October 2014. The second Wednesday in October is the ridership date. And you will see the numbers based on a ridership on that date to approve that ridership and those numbers.
When does the rest get come up again?
I believe there are 2 more years.
Two more years that time. So they have a hard time finding bus drivers.
It's been a challenge. One of the challenges is they say that they believe the economy might be improving some, the drivers are getting full-time jobs. So it's been a challenge at times.
So move transportation routes.
Gerald moved and Chad seconded to approve the transportation routes for the 2014-15 school year pursuant to the Senate Bill 781. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Assessment and evaluation of district programs, pupil transportation hazardous zones.
Dr. Ryan gets the
One of the DESI guidelines is that the board is required to approve students riding less than 1 mile with no charge to the parents because they live in a hazardous zone. We have 354 students that ride because their access to school would be crossing a hazardous zone. Our hazardous zones are basically 7 Highway Mechanic, 2 Highway South Street, as well as portions of Elm Street as well. So we're asking that you approve the hazardous zones for those 354 students.
I have a question. I know that we have a crossing on South Street.
Yes.
Will that eliminate that?
No.
So it will continue as it is, and that one would still be there, so we still have to have a crossing guard?
Yes.
And out of curiosity, what is the cost if they're not in a hazardous zone that they want their child transported?
Our cost is, well, what we have charged people traditionally is $100 per year to ride within that 1 mile.
Now, Dr. Ryan, if I was an auditor and looking at this and just the fact that HHS has 141, and HMS has 141, and McEwen has 36, and HES has 36. We have double checked those figures.
Yeah, we did multiple times. And it's pretty consistent from year to year. I think last year we were 348 students.
Okay,
something
very
like
good.
that. It's a relatively consistent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What do you need a motion? Right.
I move to accept Dr. Ryan's recommendation.
Marvin has moved and Susie has seconded to approve to transport the 354 students who would have to cross hazardous zones as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passed. And I'm very glad the state allows us to do this. Establishing a date and time for personnel performance review for December 2014.
We're asking the board to establish December 16th, which is just prior to our regularly scheduled meeting, beginning at 5:30, a meeting for personnel performance review.
opening right at 5:30 and then the board meeting to
It's 7
follow.
o'clock, yes.
So moved.
Not trying stuff, can everyone attend then? 'Cause, you know, and we might, with Jeff resigning, that means we only have 5 here, one day, that means we have 4. And we're not with the simple meeting.
We have 6. 6.
Yeah, 6, but if one can't attend, then,
Right.
you know, we're down to, yeah, so I guess I'm not trying to step on the motion, but can everyone attend? Is that a good time for everyone?
Motion, is there a second? Chad made it. Chad moved and Chad seconded that we establish December 16th, 2014 at 5:30 PM prior to a regular board meeting for the personnel performance review. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Surplus property.
Dr. Ryan, please.
As we do every month, we have some high-quality items that we're asking to surplus. These are, when we look at it, it's 53 monitors, some computers. The monitors are the 947-pound monitors that we used to have for computers. And quite honestly, if we had a monitor go out of a computer, we have enough flat screens in reserve that we could fix those. And these computers are the ones that have already been parted out. There's nothing left of these that we can't use somewhere else because the parts have already been pirated off of them, basically. Some overhead machines, and then an old risograph machine, which is a high-speed Xerox, basically replaced a mimeograph. And it is worn out and cannot get parts for it.
Question on the overheads. Being old school, I know there's a lot of different uses for those. I mean, there really are. Do we have any that are in like the middle school or elementary that they could use?
We do still have some in the district. I've seen them from time to time being used throughout the district. These were actually from the high school library that just hadn't been checked out in a very long time.
I just would like to make sure that the ones that we keep are the newest.
Sure.
And get rid of the others because you don't use them often, but when you need them, they sure are handy. So, and the other thing is the bulbs are kind of those. So
Oh, they are. Yeah,
remove the bulbs and keep those for future use.
As those of us who've been in the classroom before, you always knew where a spare bulb was.
Yeah, so if we could just kind of take that into consideration, I'd appreciate it. I've gone scavenging for one.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to declare as surplus property the items listed.
Chad has moved and Deb has seconded to declare as surplus property the items as listed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Banking services.
Ms. Gagnon has that information.
According to Missouri state statute, school districts are required to seek proposals for banking services a minimum of once every 5 years. The original expiration date of our current contract was June 30th of 2014, but as you recall, in May, we extended that so that we weren't having to bid that out over the end of the fiscal year. So the request for proposals for banking services was advertised on November 7th in the Democrat Missourian. Email notifications were also sent out to 4 area banks, including Commerce, Hawthorne Bank, Country Club Bank, and Community Bank. We received 1 proposal back in response. The scoring criteria and the proposed pricing were included in your packet for review. One item I would like to highlight is that prior to the anniversary date of each renewal term, the bank and the district will sit down and evaluate the relationship and negotiate any changes that are deemed advantageous to both parties. This is an important clause because we want to be certain, as we follow market conditions, that we can still make adjustments to the commitments of the current contract. In closing, the administration recommends entering into contract with Commerce Bank to provide banking and depository services for a period of 1 year with the option to renew up to 4 additional years.